one of the hottest rappers out right now. Miss Sexy got some money. There we go, make it rain. There we go.
Like, I'm gonna just show y'all, and like he said, they don't be understanding, like, we really came from nothing, and then we be making a big achievements, like, that's something for us, and then they just be like, you ain't doing nothing, but for us, it's like, ain't nobody doing this, so it's
few use it, that make me go in. I love when somebody doubts you.
because I'm now finna show you something.
The shock value that comes with an entertainer like Sexy Red may seem like something new to many younger people that consume African-American entertainment. But her representation of the boss bee, a strong, independent woman, secure in her sexuality, willing to challenge traditional femininity norms, is not only shared by modern entertainers like her or Meg the Stallion. Singer of WAP, a song that won an American Music Award and went 7 times platinum. Their recent predecessor, Lil' Kim, also pushed boundaries of sexuality in a hip-hop field that preceded Meg the Stallion and Sexy Red in the 90s. Before Lil' Kim in the 1990s, Tina Turner in the 80s, with her provocative outfits and her iconic legs, pushed the boundaries of the 80s boss bee. Some might even say at the end of the 70s and the early 80s that Chaka Khan and Patti LaBelle had their representation of the boss bee that deserves recognition. But there's one icon that may have burst the glass ceiling for the sexually liberated, unrestrained boss bee black woman to take the stage. Millie Jackson.
The fans we talked with at the show were anything but shocked by Millie's performance.
She's downright gutsy, earthy, funky. She's today, she's 1980. Millie is for real.
In this song titled Ugly Men, This Is It, Millie Jackson cautions of the perils of dating an ugly man. A man that you might have to put a pillowcase over his head because he's too ugly to look at in order for you to enjoy relations with him. She speaks of the need to be careful with such a man to her audience, because when he finally has the opportunity to be with a woman who'll have a lot of pent-up energy, if you will. She then goes on to demonstrate the kind of vigor he might perform with should you allow him an opportunity. This is the kind of in-your-face, boundary-pushing act that was vintage Millie Jackson. It's not hard to believe from seeing her brand of music and comedy that her views on relationships represented a changing of the guard, if you will. She was the quintessential boss bee, freed of traditional standards for young ladies and open to expressing not just a new brand of music, but a new way of living her life in terms of success and interpersonal relationships.
She's an American singer with a reputation for erotic rap talk, for talking dirty, and for making male reviewers write. Millie Jackson, erotic, explosive, explicit, sizzling, sounds just right for 4 o'clock in England. It's time, my darling. Do you think you're appropriate for this time of the day?
Oh, I don't know. It depends upon who's watching.
At age 37, Miss Jackson is not exactly a household name, mainly because a lot of households would throw her out. Millie's performing style is a mixture of Donna Summer and Bette Midler, heavily seasoned with your basic raunchy rap.
If I said to you, you were sizzling, erotic, explicit, etc., right? And give you all those adjectives.
I'll probably look behind me.
And wonder if I'm talking about
who are you talking about?
I think the language she uses down to earth, you know, it gets her point across. So if you need it, use it.
When Miss Jackson first started out, she was lost among a bevy of black women soul singers. Not getting anywhere, Millie decided to spice things up.
I never had the nerve to say that on stage, the little 4-letter word. Well, not the main big 4-letter word, you know. I used to say the little F, but I finally worked my way up to the 4-letter word.
In these 2 interviews, one by a younger Bill O'Reilly, we can see that the interviewers do not approve of Millie Jackson's act at that time. With questions that are clearly loaded, you can feel the disapproval through the screen. Yet in this age where such an act from a woman, a black woman, was not deemed appropriate, Millie Jackson stood tall and pressed on.
Did you regard yourself as a sexy girl?
No, only nice legs. I used to show them just like I do now.
Like you do now, right, yeah.
Always had nice legs.
Yeah. But tell me, you're known to be very sexy in your talk.
There's a difference between being sexy and talking about it. I'm known to talk about it a lot.
Now, when you say something dirty, sexual, whatever you want to call it, do you get a kick out of that on stage?
Yeah. It's just the shock of doing it, I think. The whole idea. I like to shock people. Be it dirt or be it whatever. It's just the idea of seeing expression on the face when I say it, whatever it is.
She seems to put so much of herself into her work and her music, her singing, and just like real life, you know, it's as though she's a real experience what she's talking about.
Are you a sexy creature?
I really don't have time. With the schedule I have, it's like, can we make an appointment for this?
You really mean that? Does work take over? Does work take over your sex life?
Yeah, I'm a workaholic.
So why? For money?
Well, not really. I enjoy working.
You can hear in these 80s interviews that Millie Jackson sees herself as a modern woman. Her career comes first. She's a self-admitted workaholic and perfectionist. But it's not these views that stick out. It is instead a view that has become commonplace in modern times, and we hear it from her as early as the 1980s.
They get all the things I talk about.
Such as?
Ooh, sex. I would love to have time for that.
I think you mean it, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I do mean it.
Then why do you push yourself so hard?
It's probably more interesting than sex.
When not performing, Miss Jackson leads a quiet life in Teaneck, puttering around the kitchen and watching soaps. But while her offstage style is low-key, it is still uninhibited. She's been married and divorced and has 2 children, a 14-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. Both kids were born out of wedlock and were fathered by different men.
Do you use profane language?
Profanity, yes.
You do? Why?
Yes. I've discovered that dealing with men, and it's really hard for them to be convinced you're serious until you let out one of those good 4-letter words. They go, oops, she's mad now.
It is here where we can hear the often parroted tropes on modern social media, except this time it's coming from a starlet in the 1980s, some 4 to 5 decades previous to now. And not only is it being parroted in national media, but being done so in 2 different countries.
You are a single parent.
Yeah.
Of 2 children.
Yeah.
By 2 fathers.
Yeah.
2 different fathers.
Yes.
Yeah. Why didn't you want to get married?
Didn't have time for both.
Time again.
So if I had a choice between the kids and the father, I'd give me the kids.
Come on.
Probably they'll be there much longer.
Now, a lot of people would say,
disgraceful. But I can support both of mine.
why didn't you get married to the fathers?
Why? I got enough problems taking care of the kids. I gotta nurse him too.
Well, maybe he could have taken care of all of you.
No, I'm afraid not. Neither one of them had as much money as me. I didn't want a husband, I wanted a son.
So you were determined for children, but you didn't want any other marriage?
No.
But how have you managed with your career and the children and being a single parent?
Very well.
Yeah.
With my career has paid for quite a few things that having a husband probably wouldn't have paid for.
Although it's not in as strong a tone as some young ladies mentioned today, one can easily hear the seeds being planted of independent women, of not needing a man, of I can do bad all by myself. The birth of the bad bee.
So in other words, your career must come first.
Yeah.
And you don't think it would be fair to a marriage if you went on at the rate you do?
No.
Then how is it fair to the children? Can you manage the children?
My son is over here with me. My daughter's in a university and wouldn't be home anyway.
Now, you have a 14-year-old daughter, and she sees you on stage saying these things and writhing around suggestively. What does she say?
That's my mom.
Hasn't she ever come over to you and say, Mom, what are you doing? What is this? Your daughter's never said that?
No, because it pays the bill, and it also pays for her down in boarding school and all those other things. When she says, my allowance, it calls you to have your allowance.
Not only was Millie Jackson a trailblazer in the entertainment field, but she was a predecessor to the modern woman. Not only did she push against boundaries of how entertaining women should act on stage and what kind of language they should use, but even in her personal life, she pushed against the traditional family and questioning the need for a man in her life. I can make the money myself. I can raise my children myself. My kids don't need a father. I can do the job. And if I can fill all of those roles, be the boss bee that I am, all I can use a man for is pleasure. This is not a new idea. It is one where the seeds were planted for modern women several decades ago. Seeds that are now coming to fruition as the boss bee and the modern women has become the standard one. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. Catch you in the next video. Take care.